Greetings everyone. In today's video, we will be taking a look at yet another highly anticipated modifier, Hidden Uraeus, Wadjet. Wadjet is a physical DPS unit. She belongs to the Nile faction of characters and uses traces as the resource to execute her skills. In battle, Wadjet relies heavily on her basic attacks while flowing back and forth between her roaming blade and hidden Fang stance, stacking up shadow marks and constantly reset her skills cooldown. Her basic attack has 5 sequences, while in hidden Fang stance she will gain a new set of basics, but in either stances each time the final strike hits. Skill 3's cooldown is reduced by 90%. Her dodge skill resets Skill 3's cooldown once every 10 seconds. In addition, while in hidden Fang stance, holding down the dodge input while performing a non-directional dodge will allow her to teleport to the locked-on target's location. While in roaming blade stance, performing a non-directional dodge will allow her to perform a swift light attack and slightly distancing herself from the target. Skill 1. One breath seal during hidden Fang deals physical damage to the locked-on target and grants 1 trace on hits, as well as a shadow mark on cast. While in roaming blade stance, this skill can only be cast by consuming a trace and will generate 1 shadow mark on cast to inflict trauma on enemies hit for 30 seconds. This will also reduce incoming healing effects by up to 75%. Enemies affected by trauma will take damage over time every 3 seconds for 30 seconds. Skill 2. 10 Flash Remnant during hidden Fang deals physical damage to the locked-on target and grants 1 trace on hits, as well as a shadow mark on cast. While in roaming blade, this skill can only be cast by consuming a trace and will generate 1 shadow mark on cast. Skill 3 Base Phantom Flurry deals physical damage and allows her to swap back and forth between her 2 stances, as well as increasing her ultimate or skill chain charge meter by 20%. In addition, when her shadow meter is full, Skill 3 is changed into its Thousand Blades variant form. Casting Thousand Blades will consume all available shadow marks to deal a massive amount of physical damage to the surrounding foes and switch her previous stance. Her ultimate Shadow Strike Hunger grants all allies the Eye of Insight buff, increasing their attack by 15% and crit damage by 30% for 25 seconds. While the Lioness Sekhmet is on the party, their ultimate skill chain Predator's Chase will restore HP for all allies, increase all allies' skill damage by 20% for 12 seconds. Grant all allies Sekhmet's Potential Unleashed buff, which increases physical damage by 25% for 12 seconds. And grant all allies Wadjet's the Eye of Insight buff for 25 seconds. Lastly, she gains 3% of her ultimate skill charge when she or a teammate lands a crit. Our girl here is actually a pretty simple modifier to play. Wadjet always takes the field in hidden Fang stance, so your main goal is to cast Skill 1 and Skill 2 on cooldown to generate 2 traces as well as their accompanying shadow marks. After that, use Skill 3 to swap into Roaming Blade. In Roaming Blade, burn Skill 1 and Skill 2 again on cooldown, consuming the traces and inflicting our trauma. Then perform a full rotation of her basic attacks to reset Skill 3's cooldown and start the loop over. When you've built up enough shadow marks, unleash Thousand Blades. Rinse and repeat. Just make sure you're landing your Skill 1 and Skill 2 casts in hidden Fang stance to gain the traces. Without those traces, you won't be able to use Skill 1 and Skill 2 in Roaming Blade. Now that we have a better understanding of her kit, here are the combos I like to use when playing Wadjet. When it comes to Aether Codes, 3 red is the recommended setup for DPS. This boosts independent damage in Hidden Fang stance, crit rate in Roaming Blade stance, and massively increases the team's independent damage by up to 75%. 3 blue is also a viable DPS option, focusing more on normal attacks and her fidget spinner mode for damage. 3 yellow is her dedicated support line for physical team, so slap that on when she is playing support for Thoth and Artemis. For Functors, Pharaoh Usercaf is a perfectly serviceable free-to-play option. However, to really get the best out of Wadjet, you'll definitely want to grab her signature Functor, Pharaoh Jet. Among its many buffs, the highlights include faster shadow mark generation, a bonus crit damage boost for the team, and an additional source of physical resistance shred. For DPS on Sigils, the new Guardian's Whisper is going to be our best in slot for 2, 4, and 6. This will increase Trace Modifier's skill damage by 10%, increase attack by up to 10% when a trace is obtained, and increase crit damage by up to 24% when traces are consumed. For 1, 3, and 5, we want Grove Whispers to further boost physical damage. If she will primarily be a support in the team, you can replace Grove with Sekhmet's Battle Cry of the Wild Sands to further reduce the enemy's physical resistance and boost your allies' crit rate, but only do this if no one else in the team is running Battle Cry, since its effect does not stack. As always, warps give you the freedom to personalize your characters in a way that best fits your playstyle. As such, the ones I recommend may not be the best ones for you, but if you want my recommendations, they are as follows. For team comps, our premium option is going to be Wadjet, Thoth and Sekhmet. Which skill chain you use is completely up to you, but I personally prefer to use Wadjet and Sekhmet's skill chain. Of course, you can choose to play Thoth or Wadjet in this comp, whichever you're more comfortable playing. Next, we've got Wadjet and Sekhmet, with Hera, Lingguang, Kotachi, or Marduk as your third. Our third team is going to be her as a standalone with Athena and Artemis. Our fourth team is her alone side Marduk and Kingu. New players can still set up a good early game physical team using Kotachi and Buzembo, Ukuni and Heimdall, or Osiris and Verthandi. Lastly, you can also run her in any team that does a lot of normal attack damage. Just slap on blue code to greatly boost normal attack damage. She will inflict trauma, allowing them to make use of Ether Shatter warps while increasing their attack by 15% and crit damage by 30% with her ultimate. Alternatively, you can build her as a general support by running 2 yellow and 1 red. This setup still lets her inflict trauma for Ether Shatter warps, provide the buffs from her ultimate, and apply armor break with a 20% defense shred. That means your whole team gains access to both armor breaker warps and Ether Shatter. So even if you don't have a full physical team or just need an extra helping hand on another team, your girls got you covered. And that concludes our guide for Hidden Uraeus Wadjet. As for everyone asking if she's a must-pull or not, I would say no. And the reason for this is the same reason Zenkibo wasn't a must-pull. We already have 2 fantastic physical teams with Thoth, Sekhmet, and Artemis, Athena. The good news with Wadjet is that she can fit right into those teams, making her a good addition, but not a mandatory requirement. In short, if you don't have a physical team yet, use the free select to get Sekhmet and pull Wadjet. If you already have a physical team, then you can safely skip her, especially if adding her to your roster would potentially prevent you from getting one of the upcoming modifiers, like Baizi or Skuld.
And that's our time. Good luck on your summons, and like always, until we meet again, friends. By the way, mods, ban everyone who say they didn't like pineapple pizza.
もう食べるの？